Hi everyone, this is Evan. Before we get into the episode, I wanted to ask for a quick favor. If you like Bad Watch, please make sure you're a subscriber, and more importantly, please go to iTunes to leave us a nice review and give us all the stars. Stop whatever you're doing and leave us a review right now while you're thinking about it. Unless you're driving. You should really keep driving. But make a note to do it later. Thanks, and enjoy the episode.
Here we are, again.
Once again.
What did we watch?
Once more into the breach.
Before we say what we watched, even though I just asked you what we watched, I want to go on record as saying this was maybe insatiable levels of insanity, where it was so inexplicable, and yet.
I'm so excited for this. I can feel like the boiling rage within you, and I want you to release it because Evan, I sort of enjoyed my time.
First of all,
Evan's mouth opened wide at that.
No dogs were harmed in the recording of this podcast. And also, we watched a little Netflix series called It's Bruno.
It's wunderbar. It's Emmy-nominated. I don't know why.
This is our first Emmy takedown. This is a classic punching up scenario, as I believe it's known. So it's this Netflix show. There's only 8 episodes. This is the first season. They definitely set it up for other seasons.
They did.
Baby. And it's about a guy who lives in...
A man and a dog.
Bushwick, Brooklyn. He has a very adorable puggle, I think. Is a puggle a pug and beagle? Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. The internet is yelling at me, and I can hear them. Yes.
From our uncounted fans.
I can hear them from the future.
Innumerable. Oh, yes. Okay. All right. If you're listening in the future, assume we said everything correctly.
This man, what's the main character's name?
Malcolm.
He doesn't look like a Malcolm.
Sure.
What's
he look like?
He looks like his real life name, Solnam Slick, in air quotes.
That was so strange.
Naeem.
Like this Slick guy. Like I was like, who is Slick? I don't.
He does all of the stuff on this show. Slick, we'll call him. He already has a built-in nickname. He has an adorable puggle
and a crazy cast to join him in this journey.
Who goes by Bruno, and I don't know who plays Bruno, but that animal has far too much dignity for this television program.
That dog spent the majority of its time like looking around like, I am not interested in this whole... It was like dead-eyed everywhere.
The dog was looking around like, I get to eat after this, right? Because I'm tired of this dumb human shit you guys are doing.
Oh my god. I'll be in my trailer.
I hope he had a little doggy trailer. That would be so cute. Malcolm has a dog. Mm-hmm. And these are very short episodes.
15 to 20 minutes.
Call them that. 15 to 20 minutes. And even though, I guess because there's only one season, we watched the first episode and the last episode that is currently available.
Yep.
So the season premiere and season finale.
Yeah.
I would love it if it were the series finale, but it was Emmy nominated, so here we are. Now, Malcolm leaves. He's walking down the sidewalk with Bruno.
Of course. The dog goes everywhere with him.
That is his job, is to take care of Bruno, as near as I can tell.
No, I think, so they allude to something in the final episode that he lost his job, so he had something.
I think...
They don't show it in the first
episode. At some point in the series, he either was or becomes a dog walker.
I'm pretty sure he falls back to his old standby of dog walking.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
I think so, because there's other dogs, other nameless, beautiful dogs, who don't nearly get enough credit for carrying this show.
I love that they're walking, and there's a shot of like a neighbor's dog just sitting, like and then like that dog gets involved. I'm just assuming, since we only watched first and last, that dog shows up in every single episode because it showed up in the first and it showed up in the last. It doesn't do anything. It's just sitting. I think they just took one shot of it and just kept using the same shot over and over. I really hope that's so.
So Andy has watched these 2 episodes more recently than I did, and it was a classic in one eyeball, out the other for me. That's not an expression. I'm trying. It's like fetch. We're gonna make it happen.
You're not making it real.
But
it was more disconcerting because you were like scratching your eyelid, lower eyelid as you did it, which was really suddenly horrifying. Like, oh, let me expose my leakage duct.
normally, ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners, normally one or both of us will take notes on the program we watched. Neither of us did that. I think because there's very little to take note of.
So this, I disagree. I could have, because I thought it was so funny. Because the first episode, nothing like they set up characters, which is, I mean, they have 14 minutes or whatever the runtime it was to set up all the characters that you see. Which is like, that's a bunch.
So let's go through these characters.
Okay.
First of all, there's Hatman Carruthers. You've heard of Scatman Carruthers. As famous in, I think, The Shining. I think that's Scatman Carruthers.
Is it?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Okay.
This is Hatman Carruthers, because every time he's on screen, he's wearing a little hat. He's walking a dog named Angie, and Malcolm, Angie, and Bruno, they're like drag racers at a stoplight, except they're dog walkers at a crosswalk.
Yeah, they're dog walkers doing dog tricks at a crosswalk.
And
they've got the 5 seconds while the light is changing.
Hatman Carruthers says to Malcolm, "Cute dog," and Malcolm says, "You have a very nice dog as well, sir." and then the man goes.
The dog off begins.
The Hatman says, "Angie, sit." Malcolm says, "Bruno, sit." And then Hatman says, "Angie, down." And then Malcolm says, "Bruno, down." But Bruno doesn't do anything. Uh-oh. Malcolm and Bruno have been bested by Hatman Carruthers.
And now we're halfway through the episode.
Those are literally, that's as high as the stakes get. There's like there's this whole opening.
No, the highest stakes of the first episode is that the man is looking for turkey meat for his dog.
I get that. No.
So I have to say, you just like this.
I'm going to eat a cookie while Andy's having this discussion.
It felt pretentious and ridiculous, but I enjoyed it. Like, the storytelling was actually, like, you see how this man is very clearly, weirdly obsessed with this animal. Every single item in his house is dedicated to Bruno. He treats the dog and cooks for the dog way better than he cooks for himself. There's a picture of him, like, sauteing up some turkey meat.
The whole opening of the show, before you get to Hatman Carruthers, is Malcolm preparing this very fancy deli-style lunch meat for Bruno's meals. And he has something like 18 meals already prepared. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's planning for some nuclear fallout or what.
Well, Bruno's going to have a party later.
Bruno's having friends over there.
He needs his appies. And then you see him eat a Hot Pocket for himself. And then, like, you see images of the dog on the wall. Like, it's thoroughly... There's a ribbon of ridiculousness running through all of this. And
they're going for satire. And they fail. I finished my cookies. Let's continue.
It felt more genuine. I enjoyed the ridiculousness. And they're like, I don't know. I was okay with this. Especially what kind of boggled my mind is in the first episode, they set everything up. Don't make me have
another cookie. I can't.
They set everything up. And it's like so it's like 15 minutes, right? They set everything up in the first episode. Then and it covers like part of a day really. And then they go to the end, and that last episode in that 14, 15, 20 minutes, I can't remember, it covers like 3 months of activity.
Yes.
Like, it's ridiculous.
That is very true.
I was like, you're getting Flash.
There's a ridiculous time jump in the last minute. The last episode is only 20 minutes. The first is a tight 15. Yeah.
But it's not even it doesn't feel like it jumps. Like, I felt like I was connected to all the time. Like, okay, all these steps are occurring. He meets this woman, he likes her. They move in together.
That's because it was probably all of this entire series was probably filmed in like 6 hours. No joke. That's how fast it's all the same day. But after we meet Hatman Carruthers, Malcolm is walking down the street, and I think this is when we meet Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie is a stereotypical Bushwick, Brooklyn hipster with long hair.
It's stereotypical in any real way. His hair's like flat, straightened, and like long, and he's got like.
I mean, if I saw him anywhere else, I guess what I mean by when I say that he's a stereotypical Bushwick, Brooklyn hipster is if I saw him in any other environment, I would think to myself, I bet he lives in Bushwick, Brooklyn.
Okay. All right. right?
He drinks like fancy, locally sourced milkshakes where the milk hasn't been pasteurized or something.
I don't know anything. I saw an action.
He went through a Mumford & Sons phase.
I watched an action movie called Bushwick, and this is not the Bushwick that I think of when I.
Is that the one with
the wrestler dude?
Drax?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that good?
No, really no.
He's making moves like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah. They were
Drax.
the movie they were like it was more like a logistical miracle. They were like, hey, we're just gonna do as many long takes as we can and just see until people start messing up.
They're in Bushwick and the apocalypse happens and they have to escape.
Well, no, there's like a revolution happening in the United States, and so they're fighting stuff off, and they're shooting in the streets, and there's all this violence, and it's just what they try and do. Like someone saw Children of Men. And that one incredible 5-6 minute shot, however long it is, and they're like, we're gonna make that into a movie in my own world, which is nowhere near as interesting or good.
It's called a tracking shot. I just remembered from my film class.
And they did that the entire time, so it'd be like 4 or 5 minutes, and then they're like all the time. So it was crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Bushwick Blues, the podcast within a podcast. And now we're back to Bad Watch. So we meet Charlie, who seems to live on the stoop of an apartment building wearing the same tracksuit throughout all 8 episodes of this show.
As far as we can tell.
As far as we can tell. And he goes, "It's my boy, Charlie!" And Malcolm stops and he says, "His name is Bruno. He's fucking Bruno, okay? Learn the name of my dog." And Charlie's like, "He even looks like a Charlie."
Like his daddy. It's like, I'm his daddy. And he's like, no, I'm his daddy. It's so strange. My favorite part of that, though, is in episode 8, when he walks by those guys again, and it's him and another guy, and he's like, "Hey, yo, it's Charlie." He's like, "My dog's name is Bruno." And he's like, "No, it's Charlie. Learn the name of your fucking dog." It's so ridiculous.
If this were a better show with anything more interesting to go for, that would be a worthwhile joke.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Learn the name of your fucking dog.
But so he's yelling at Charlie. Charlie's yelling at the dog. He thinks it's called Charlie, but is actually called Bruno. And then he goes to the bodega.
Yep.
But the bodega stopped selling the fancy lunch meat because Malcolm was the only person who bought it, and it was too expensive to stock. So Malcolm leaves. And by the way, Bruno's with him inside the bodega. That's an important point to mention.
On the way to the bodega, they also meet the Carl's cart.
Is that when they run into Carl's cart?
Yeah. Who is the famous person?
I don't know.
The guy with the hat. Carter, whatever. What was his first name?
Charlie.
No, not Charlie. Not
Hatman Carruthers.
Hatman Carruthers.
Yes.
Not Carter. He's semi-famous. I've definitely seen him in other things.
I've seen him in other things too.
And then the guy playing
his name is Hatman Carruthers.
And then the guy playing the crack addict who's pushing a cart full of stolen goods. He's definitely famous, and I've seen him in a bunch of stuff.
I wondered if it was the dad from Family Matters. I shot a kid.
No.
It's not him?
No.
You sure?
100% not him.
Well, his name is Carl. He has a cart, and everyone seems to know he's a crackhead, and he's selling stolen goods out of aforementioned cart.
Like steak.
Like
unrefrigerated steak.
Unrefrigerated steak and all sorts of other weird stuff. And Malcolm and he sort of get into it because Malcolm's walking down the sidewalk, and Carl is coming down the sidewalk, and Malcolm kicks his cart, and he says, "Hey man, don't run over my dog."
Even though the dog was definitely nowhere near
the dog is like standing by a tree like, "Can you two just work this out so we can continue our walk?"
He's like, "This is awkward. Can we just
Bruno brings a gravitas to his role that lesser dogs would be unable to match.
Well, so the season ends basically before like the outro thing where it's set up for the next season on Bruno's face, so they understand the true star.
They do understand that Bruno is the real star of this show.
I love this. This is so stupid and ridiculous. It should not get an Emmy, but it was fun.
It should not get an Emmy. And we looked up what was best short form comedy series.
Yeah, or drama, comedy or drama is what the category it's in.
Yeah, that hilarious drama. It's Bruno.
I was Googling why did this get an Emmy and what's wrong. Like I was searching for this, but it did not yield any real results.
Also, I tried to look up and see what people had said about this show on Rotten Tomatoes, and so few critics have reviewed it, it does not even have a score. Which, that's its own kind of score. It's like not choosing is its own choice. But then we meet Carl. He and Malcolm fight. Malcolm doesn't buy anything from Carl's cart.
Yeah, they end sort of weirdly amicably.
Yes.
And he's like, so you're going to buy anything? And
yeah, and it's like, well, I think the idea there is, well, they're neighbors and they're going to run into each other again, so they have to remain civil.
Yeah, sort of,
but,
yeah.
Then there's a grandmother and granddaughter at some point.
Yeah.
And the grandmother keeps trying to pet Bruno. And Malcolm says, "Don't fucking touch my dog."
And she's like,
and she's like, so rude.
And he's like, starts petting her granddaughter. And
to make a point, which I did genuinely. This was maybe my favorite moment in the entire series, where after the grandmother tries to pet Bruno and he tells her not to, he pets the granddaughter, and she's horrified. Obviously,
she's like, she's a human.
He's like, he's a dog.
No, he says he's a human. And I'm like, what? And then, but the other part I really liked about that moment is because as he pets the granddaughter, she's like they cut to her and she's smiling because I think she's like, this is awkward and funny. But then they cut to her again and she's like, seriously, obviously. They were like, no, seriously.
And this girl had to go back to school. They shot this on her lunch break.
Yeah.
They took her out of the cafeteria.
Yeah. This is your fake grandma. Deal with it.
We're rolling. Then he goes into the fancy supermarket owned by Tone. They call him Tone, probably short for Antonio or Tony.
Probably. I missed that part in the name.
They call him Tone.
Okay.
Tone refuses to let Bruno...
He doesn't make it in. He gets near the doors and he comes out. And he's there already. He's like, no dogs are allowed here.
It's a classic Charlie Brown football scenario. He's never going to kick that football because Lucy's charging too much for psychiatric help. Or too little. Who can say? I'm not sure if there's free healthcare in the Peanuts world, but anyway.
Pigpen is a thing. It's a nightmare in that world. The mental health industry has imploded. There's only one psychiatrist. It's terrible.
Oh God! What if all the children were left in charge of healthcare, and that's why Peanuts is Peanuts? Okay, well,
that should get an Emmy.
that would be great. Now, Tone tells Malcolm, "You know you can't have any dogs in here," and Malcolm's like, "Come on, I gotta get his lunch meat." So
yeah, this is all revolving around this very minor crisis.
This is not a crisis, but this is. It turns out the entire season of It's Bruno revolves around Malcolm's quest to buy his dog fancy lunch meat.
Yeah.
That is not an exaggeration. That is not me doing a goof. That's the whole show.
One man and his struggle for turkey.
In a world where dog food is mysteriously unavailable. But wait, no it's not. Malcolm's just a douche.
Amazon doesn't exist.
I mean, they do not exist in Queens.
Peapod doesn't exist. There are no options.
That's the thing. If he had, he's like, my dog goes with me everywhere. He's like, get a delivery. You go to, what are the thing for stoners? Go Puff? Puff and Go?
I am very intrigued. I don't know about this.
It's called Go Puff, and the whole marketing campaign is totally driven towards stoners. Not my relatives, the actual people who use drugs.
Why not both?
It could be both. And it's like feeling munchy, and like it's like they'll deliver Ben and Jerry's to your house like 20 minutes after you order it for, of course, an exorbitant fee. But if you're that stoned, who cares? Mm-hmm. Anywho, Malcolm ties up Bruno to a tree outside the supermarket. He walks inside. He reaches the lunch meat section, and there's an attractive woman buying the same lunch meat. And Malcolm says what is maybe the best line in the entire series. Oh, funny. We like the same meat. And she looks at him like
he killed her dog in front of her.
Like he killed her dog and he's Harvey Weinstein's love child. And then runs away.
Yeah.
He then walks up to the cash register.
There's a lady who's working at the store who smiles at him, and he awkwardly waves, and then he runs to the register.
Yes. He goes up to the register to pay, and he sees that a young boy is outside
this character
stealing Bruno. So he leaves the lunch meat because he has to rescue his dog.
Because the lady in front of him was taking a long time. She's doing her makeup.
It's not your bedroom.
It's not your bedroom.
You gotta pay for your groceries.
And I have to say, Malcolm's character, I don't know, maybe he was playing up, he had a rough childhood. There's some societal stuff going on, some mental stuff, because he's very stilted in his delivery of his lines. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not because he's not he's a bad actor. He did this on purpose.
I feel like he was reading off cue cards the entire time, but the printing on the cue cards was so big that they had to awkwardly change between cue cards in the middle of his lines. Like that, it's kind of there's like a disconnect between the words in his sentences. It's very strange.
It was stilted. His delivery was stilted.
And I have a feeling that's not the case in real life because I think he's a comedian. Like, his job is to talk in front of human beings.
Well, that's what happens when you shoot it in 6 hours.
That's true. He's probably tired. He's like, we've done this damn supermarket scene so many times, and this is only the first hour of the shoot. So he runs outside to chase after this little boy. He retrieves Bruno. The boy says, "That's my dog." And Malcolm says, "No, it's my dog." And Malcolm is quickly becoming Bernie Sanders, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah,
free puggles for everyone.
So then they're having this argument, and you hear some music suddenly, and you see there's a guy in a car that pulls up, and and the music gets on, and the kid starts this. I don't know, like he's struck by a palsy. I don't like. It's a weird dance he's doing, and it was great because Malcolm was like, "What are you doing?" He's like,
so the boy immediately he abandons his argument with Malcolm and immediately starts doing this crazy dance.
Weird shuffle thing.
And Malcolm says, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Who raised you?"
Yeah, who raised you? I love that.
And
I don't know what to think
the boy's father walks up and he says, "I raised him."
And he walks up, so they do slow-mo on him walking like we're.
He's not a particularly big or scary-looking gentleman.
No, especially like
he is a father, however.
Yeah, and he's got like a really wide, like his legs are feet are angled out when he's walking, like he's like a huge swagger. Walks
kind
up,
of bow-legged.
They focus on him as he cracks his knuckles. He's like, "You got something to say?" Like he smoked for 30 years before this role.
Yeah, and then Malcolm's like, "No, we're good. I got my dog. We're good."
And I was like, this is such a strange interaction. Why?
And then the boy stops dancing, and I think the joke here is that the boy has been sort of Pavlovian conditioned in that way to respond to music.
Sure.
And then the dad turns back to the boy, his son, and he's like, Give me some of that. And the boy continues, and he's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about."
It's so strange.
Those characters never return. You think this is some rich vein.
Again, Evan, you didn't watch the rest of this season, so you don't know.
If you have a character like Boy Who Must Dance when music is playing, you definitely bring him back for season finale. I don't care who you are.
Wait.
He's Chekhov's dancing boy.
So, I mean, the dad was back in the season finale, but the kid wasn't, which I thought was strange. Maybe, you know what? The 6 hours, it was bedtime. They shot this, it was bedtime for the kid.
I want to circle back to my really good joke, Chekhov's dancing boy.
Okay.
Okay, well.
There you go, you got it. You circled. How does it feel?
It still feels like you don't appreciate me.
I like it, but I have moved on with my life.
So Malcolm does not have lunch meat for his dog.
I just got it. It was really great.
But he does have his dog. I think that's the end of episode 1.
I think so.
Yeah.
He walks back home. Charlie yells at him again.
He goes back home. Charlie!
Yeah.
And,
wait, no, that's when he hits him with a stick.
That's right.
He takes his child napping frustration.
So despite the fact that Bruno has 18 prepared meals in the refrigerator,
yeah, he's concerned.
Which is pretty hysterical.
He's real concerned.
He takes Bruno home and he feeds him, and he tells Bruno how they were so embarrassed by Hatman Carruthers and Angie, and how they can't let that happen again. Mm-hmm. Then, I think the episode doesn't. He goes back to the crosswalk. He sees Hatman Carruthers.
Well, because first he's talking to Bruno. He's like, "Bruno, stop, sit," and he does, and it says Bruno down. Nothing happens. He says Charlie down, and the dog lays down. That's when he goes and beats up with his face.
Also the line reading is Charlie down.
Evan sent me a text. Angie down. And that was before I'd seen it yet.
That was another joke that just passed you by, Andy.
Well, so you had sent it to me before I'd seen it, so I was like, I don't really know what's happening.
Oh, God damn it! You're so lazy. Ugh. You're. But anyway, he gets the best over Hatman Carruthers because they're at the crosswalk, and not only does Bruno go down, he rolls over, which Angie doesn't do or doesn't know how. It's beyond her ken. Let's just say, and then. Malcolm finds a stick in the garbage, and he hits human Charlie with it.
While dog Charlie Bruno looks on,
while Bruno
just sort of
looks
bored.
on in dismay.
Mostly disgust, I thought it was mostly...
Bruno, like, you know how so often there are, like, classically trained British actors in, like, really shitty movies or TV roles, and you can tell they're being consummate professionals throughout the entire thing, while, like, Adam Sandler's, like, making dick jokes over on camera or something. Like, that's how I felt about Bruno. He needs a better show for his talent and abilities. Let's go to the last episode. So
we touched on a couple of points of this episode.
It starts the exact same way, where they're at the crosswalk, and he and Hatman Carruthers, I guess, are fine now.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like, well, I mean, didn't they engage in it again?
They did the thing again. The both dogs lie down. Everyone's happy. He tries again he goes into a different bodega, and now they're selling little dried pieces of Bruno shit.
Well, I think he's at a pet store for that, I think.
Yes,
that's the pet store.
You are correct.
Yeah. And
Pet store.
and there's someone
Who would have thought to buy
has stolen his image, his graven image, and they've put it on this medicinal something. Was it poop of his? I don't think
I'm pretty sure it was dog poop.
They were bottling his poop? I don't understand.
We missed something there, and I'm sure
we missed 6 episodes is what we missed.
I'm sure it was hilarious, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't buy any of the dried poop.
He's like, can you just keep this picture away from me? Like, put it in the back of the store.
And the owner's
like, we sell this a lot.
Yeah, the owner's like, well, actually, we sell a lot of it, so no. Which is pretty funny. But then they're trying to talk Malcolm into buying actual dog food for his actual dog, and he says no. And then he buys puppy chow, which is completely age inappropriate for a dog of Bruno's age.
Stature, wisdom, charisma levels.
Yes, constitution. But he buys the bag of like puppy chow. He tries to go into the supermarket again when he sees Tone leaving the store.
I loved that.
He sees Tone leaving the store to run out to his car and drives away. Malcolm runs around the corner and gets into the first set of sliding doors. And who comes out of the store breathless and sweaty but Tone? He says, you know there's no dogs allowed in here. And Malcolm's like, how'd you get here so fast? And you see Tone's car just slewed across the road with the driver's door hanging open.
The guy like, who's gonna move this car?
Move your fucking car, man!
It's so ridiculous. I love it.
I don't know. That would have been
absurd.
I kind of wonder if they did a slightly more ridiculous version of that in every episode. But this was by far, like, the funniest. Like, it should have started here, and then in episode 8, it's like Tone is parachuting down. It's like, you know there's no dogs in this store.
Megaphone in his hands, it goes down.
Malcolm is again rebuffed from his lunch meat quest. And who does he see outside the supermarket doing something on the windows, or like cleaning them, I think?
Yeah.
It's one of the cashiers,
it's the lady
woman
he saw earlier.
Woman from episode 1 who works at the supermarket, who smiled at him. Her name is Rosa. She's from Trinidad. She has an accent that I will not try and imitate.
Everyone thanks you.
It's very difficult. And
she also has a dog, a very beautiful puppy.
She also has a dog named Bella, and she has very big, beautiful hair. If anyone here, Andy and I have both seen it.
What are you?
If anyone listening has seen any bit of Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, Goodwatch Jr., she is the badass bodyguard in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. So she's very talented and good in that show, and here she's not given a lot to work with. Yeah. Fortunately, but we'll get to some of that later. But she and Malcolm start walking their dogs together, and she gives Malcolm a hookup with, I think she says, a cousin or relative, gets like service dog permits.
Service dog stuff. She's like, so it takes a little time, but we can put in a good word, and I'll get you set up with the service dog, and then you can take him into the store. So she's like, why don't you just leave him at home? And he's like, I'm not. What did he say? I'm not
an absentee father.
Yeah, I'm not. And she chuckles at that, but she's got a dog, and she definitely left it somewhere. So it's like, are you commenting on her behavior then, or?
It's so stupid. But they start walking dogs together. Then they're on a dog walk through the park, and who do they see But
Well,
the woman
no,
from the first episode.
Hold on, that comes later though. First they're like chatting, and then they start dating.
Oh yeah, then
they move in together.
Is this okay?
And then,
yes.
like, now months have passed, and they're at a
This is, to Andy's point from earlier, this is when 6 months pass in the span of 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, but they cut to everything, like them moving together and like saying that, like, it's ridiculous.
Well,
but it's
there's a very tragic scene where you hear Malcolm and you hear Rosa shouting Malcolm's name, I guess, to give the impression that he is a prodigious lover. Mm-hmm. And all you see in that shot is Bruno looking mildly distressed outside the bedroom door.
As they're getting together, you see the dogs like hanging out together, and it's like, I guess, I mean, it's like you've got a bunch of cuts of them and like him like carrying her in his arms and swinging her around. It's like thoroughly ridiculous, but it's like, I liked it. All right, I was like, this is a 4 minutes out of this significant portion of the show dedicated to the blossoming of the relationship, and it is beautiful.
It's
and Evan's face right now, folks, is also beautiful.
No, I would watch the hell out of a show about Rosa, her dog Bella, and Bruno. Get rid of Malcolm and everyone else, except for maybe Carl and Hatman Carruthers. Yeah, I would love that show.
Malcolm's acting still is pretty stilted.
And he wrote or co-wrote all of the episodes. And okay, the bit that made me laugh.
8 hours and 8 episodes and 6 hours to work on this, and he didn't get it by the end.
To briefly backtrack, the bit from the first episode that by far made me laugh the hardest was when it ended and it says starring Slick Naeem, and then directed by Slick Naeem, written by Slick Naeem, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like, it was so bizarre. I actually rewound it to watch it again because I didn't believe it was real, but it's real. Anywho,
are there a bunch of asterisks with like a whole bunch of other names? Like
there are other names. Like there are some other producers, and I think some of the episodes were co-written with someone else.
Okay.
But Slick is the auteur throughout.
Why is his name Slick?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's because he has very closely cropped hair.
It like distresses me. That's not a good name.
It's his name. I'm not giving him that name.
I know.
That's the name he gives himself in the credits of his own television show.
Yeah, right? I'm like.
It's very odd.
It's
I
not
agree.
a good name.
Slick.
What up, Ace? How you
it's
doing,
not
Slick?
it's not as if he's a Richard and he's trying to take back like some of his dignity with the name Richard. Slick. Anywho, Rosa.
Ooh, Dick Slick would be terrible though if your name was Richard and then you chose Slick.
I mean, there's no accounting for choice.
That's the worst thing ever.
Rosa and Slick, they live together. They live happily together with Bella and Bruno. They're walking through the park, and who do they see but the woman who, as Malcolm said, hey, we like the same meat. She's in the park with another man, and you're quickly to understand that this woman, Lulu, and Malcolm briefly dated and had a torrid love affair.
Yes.
At the end of which she tried to steal Bruno.
Yes.
And
also, she was weird throughout because she was more obsessed about the animal than him.
Was more obsessed with the dog, and
yell the dog's name during sex. And he says this,
he whispers this to Lulu's new beau.
First, her paramour is like, "You better apologize," and he's like, "No, this lady's crazy." And then he whispers, "Does she say the dog's name during sex?" And he's like, and the guy's got eyes get wide, and he backs up. And he's like,
"Yeah."
He's like, "No." She goes, "Don't listen to them. They're lying." He goes, "No, that's way too specific for him to know."
No, he knows way too much of your shit. I think, yeah. And then so he takes his dog and runs away, and Lulu is left bereft of dog and boyfriend.
She's real mad.
And then
as they walk away, Rosa is like snapping at her and giving some sass. As she walks away, Rosa's name tag is
Rosa's
visible.
name tag on her red apron
so.
from Tone's grocery store is hanging out of her bag.
And
Lulu gets an idea. And then, later, while Malcolm and Rosa are off being lovey-dovey, who breaks into Tone's supermarket but Lulu? Mm-hmm. She's sneaking through the employee files, and she confirms that Rosa is an undocumented immigrant and is being paid off the books. And so during her next shift, she arrives at the supermarket with a customs agent or an ICE agent.
The ICE agent, who, weirdly enough, lets her take the lead.
Yeah, I kept waiting for the reveal where she was like, "No, I'm an ICE agent. This is my partner, David White guy."
Oh, really? That's what you...
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was like, she's dressed way more professionally than she was in every other episode of other time you've seen her, and I was like, she's been an ICE agent this whole time?
Yeah.
But no.
But
the ICE agent just lets her run the show.
Yeah, it was so strange.
It's so bizarre.
She's like, that's the person. And then she's like, what's going to happen to this? And like, da, da, da.
Yeah.
And
then
Rosa goes, let me go grab my purse, sneaks out the back, runs around, steals the ICE agent's car.
Because he left it unlocked with the keys inside, and she just drives away.
And now she's on the lam.
Malcolm and Bruno get back to their apartment after walking a neighbor dog, and the place is like ransacked, and he finds a note from Rosa saying how she had to bail, but the service
Bella
service vest did come for Bruno, so now he can go get his fancy lunch meat. And meanwhile,
Malcolm seems remarkably unconcerned by this exit.
He really does. All he says is, "I guess it was too good to be true."
It's so awful.
It's the dumbest.
For this relationship that was serious, they moved in together. It's been like 6 or 7 months now in one episode here.
You know what I think happened? The actor who plays Rosa was only available for hour 6 of the 6-hour shoot, so they had to cram her entire arc into this 20 minutes.
And he couldn't work up the character-driven love for her, so that's all he could get out of him.
Honestly, like, I understand what Slick Naeem was trying to do here, but he is not the star to carry the show. He could be... I would love him as the Charlie Minor character person.
Oh, he could have torn that up.
Where if he's just on a stoop perpetually, eternally, yelling at all his neighbors, that's his show. And there's a different, far more interesting, better actor who's the owner of Bruno.
Just have Rosa do it.
Have Rosa do it. She's great.
She was great.
Yeah, she's awesome. Even Lulu was really good, even though her character is like garbage.
Yeah.
But, so, meanwhile, after Rosa leaves Malcolm's place, she apparently stops by Lulu's residence and releases the multiple dogs that Lulu has stolen and were just cramped up in her apartment. It was like a dozen cages.
Yeah, she's an animal hunter.
So the first horrifying thing is that Lulu is an animal thief and doesn't treat any of them well because they're all cramped up in one room. Second of all, Rosa just frees them all, so now there's these stray animals just running around.
She didn't say, I'm taking them to take care of them. She said in the letter, she's not going to like what I did, but like...
No one would like what you did, Rosa, because those dogs are now in danger.
Yeah. That was not great. That was so
But Bruno has his service vest. They go into Tone's store, and there's a very poorly choreographed dance sequence where everyone's character comes back and is dancing through the aisles.
So when
Carl is there.
When he and Rosa are like initially gonna start dating, she goes, "Well, what'll happen if you can get your dog into this?" And she's like, "Well, there'd be a celebration with song and dance." And so that's what happens. And I was just sort of like, oh,
Chekhov's song and dance.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the music that was playing was real because Carruthers was walking outside and heard the music and was like, "What is happening here?"
Hatman Carruthers, all of a sudden, he's walking by the store and he knows he can't take Bella inside. But granted, he hasn't tried at all in episodes 1 or 8.
Yeah, you keep saying no one has done this, and it's like seriously, there are 6 more episodes that we did not watch.
Watching episode 8, I was worried I picked the first episode over again because it starts exactly the same way. So many of the beats are exactly the same. There's nothing to this show. It's a skeleton with meat dripping off its bones being eaten by a sad dog. I
thought you didn't want me to make mouth noises. Can you not describe it that way?
Then, mercifully, the show ends. But there's like a pre-credit, post-credit.
It fades to black where they focus on Bruno's as they fade out.
Adorable Bruno.
Yeah.
Emmy-nominated Bruno.
So I think
short-form
Bruno,
dog actor.
If this wins an Emmy, Bruno should go up and make the acceptance part.
He has to. Then it cuts to...
Did you hear my joke there?
No, yeah, I did. Chekhov's Bruno. It's great.
No.
Then we go to black. Then there's a biker gang outside of a prison, and one of their party is being released. They give him his leather jacket, which on the back it says, Baby.
And there's a picture of Bruno.
And you have to think, did they write this before Baby Driver became a very popular film? Because there's already a movie about a lovable character called Baby who drives fast vehicles. So
I didn't really feel anything about that.
But apparently, so they tell Baby that
We got a surprise for you.
they're like, we found him. And they hold up the can of dried poo with Bruno's face on it and they shake it. And then Baby says, I love presents.
Surprises.
Whatever. Fuck Baby. The end.
It was great. This is a good watch.
And the good people at... You know, they wouldn't give Megan Amram a fucking Emmy, but if they give It's Bruno an Emmy, we know the system is rigged and perpetually fucked. Seriously, because Megan Amram is a national treasure and It's Bruno is a show that's a mistake. But Bruno the dog.
Thank you, Netflix, for bringing this to my life. I appreciate you and everything you do.
He's lying.
Mostly to annoy you, and it's really great.
I was going to do a thing where I would guess what happens, but I don't think my heart is in it. Also, I forgot what I was going to predict.
I also, I was going to, but we actually did. We've been chatting here for 40 minutes on this, I think.
Unfortunately.
This is about as long as the 2 episodes we watched.
Yep. Chekhov's episode. Well,
Is that gonna
now
be the title?
if I have anything to say about it, yeah.
Chekhov's Bruno.
Chekhov's Bruno. Now, a brief message from our sponsors.
Hey, my name is Percival Charles Winthrop III, on my mother's side. Have you ever wanted to go on a tour of the haunted places in and around Savannah, Georgia? Maybe visit an actual peach orchard and try out some peach ice cream? Look no further than the Georgia Peach Touring Company. Book your trip today at georgiapeachtours.com. All you'll need is a credit card number, social security number, your mother's maiden name, and the street you lived on as a child. That's georgiapeachtours.com. Thank you kindly.
And we're back. Do you know what time it is? Good watch. Now, I forgot to check in with you beforehand
You
to see if
did?
you did your homework.
Did you see the deer in the spotlight? Look
But
on my
did
face?
you do your homework and think of a show you actually liked that is not It's Bruno?
Deer in the spotlight.
I think it's Headlights.
Shh, I'm in the spotlight.
Why is this deer on stage?
Well, I mean, I feel
Seems-
like
they're an invasive species, like kudzu vines.
so we need to bring them to center stage.
You know what? I have a good watch.
Please tell us.
So, season 4 of Preacher is back on AMC as of August 4th.
Oh.
And what that means for me is that season 3 is now available on Hulu, and I highly recommend it. I know last week we recommended The Boys, which is another TV show based on a Garth Ennis comic book, and Preacher, well, I have not read The Boys. I have read all of Preacher, and I've so far seen almost all of the episodes of the TV show, and it's great. The actors in it, Dominic someone plays Preacher. I can't remember any of their names now. There's a hilarious Irish actor who plays Cassidy.
Was he's a vampire?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's also
That's a
God.
very,
This is
it's
gonna
a very fun show.
this is gonna kill me.
I highly recommend it.
But
as well.
the woman who plays Tulip O'Hare, she's like Ethiopian Irish. She has the coolest accent in real life, but in the show she has a southern accent.
Mhm.
And she's in that movie that's coming out soon, Ad Astra. While Andy's thinking of his good watch, I'm gonna Google this because it's really bugging me.
I have my good watch. It's not crazy good, but I've enjoyed it.
Anyway, watch Preacher on Hulu or
Yeah.
AMC if you have
Check it out.
if you have AMC. Also, I was watching a YouTube video and a guy kept referring to Garth Ennis as Garth Enos.
That sounds wrong.
Well, it's Ennis. Like, there's no reasonable way it's pronounced Enos unless Garth is playing the funniest joke on all of us and insisting that Enos is how his surname is pronounced.
I want it to be pronounced that way. Is that okay?
I'll let Andy talk now.
Okay. My good watch is something we considered for a bad watch. We didn't actually do a bad watch on Lucifer, did we?
No.
No? Okay.
This is your good watch?
I enjoyed it. I've been watching it.
Ugh.
It's honestly, it sort of falls in the category of the Mean Girls show we watched. The Mean Girls show, Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, that is the Mean Girls show we watched.
Yeah, where I was like, this is so insane and so ridiculous, but over the top. But I could like see what it's really absurd.
That's the show. Let me see if I understand correctly. Lucifer is walks the earth.
Yeah.
He has an attractive detective partner he works with, and he solves crimes.
Yes, it's hilarious, and
Okay.
the premise is absurd. But I've been sort of enjoying it. It's fluffy.
I need to find a new co-host.
My brother recommended that we do it for a bad watch, and then we both watched an episode and decided it was like too middle of the line.
I have not watched an episode.
Well, I thought we watched it. Or no, Allison and I watched an episode.
Your wife,
okay,
the woman you're married to.
Yeah.
That person.
Yeah. Well, it was just fluffy. It's just been fluffy and like.
It just sounds like the most bullshit boardroom idea for a TV show.
So ridiculous.
What if Lucifer is a detective?
It's really
a classic Odd Couple scenario.
It's thoroughly ridiculous. I'm sort of like, this is just like something to put on. It's relaxed. It asks nothing of you.
So let's briefly go back to my good watch, Preacher on Hulu/AMC. Preacher.
Have we not recommended that before?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I haven't.
Okay.
Maybe you did and I was ignoring you. Preacher is played by Dominic Cooper. Tulip is played by Ruth Negga. And seriously, look up some of her clips from like Colbert or something. She has the most beautiful, crazy accent I've ever heard in my... It's like Irish and African and like a little magic mixed in. It's incredible. And also in every role I've seen her in, she does like a different accent. She's so cool. And the Cassidy Vampire Man is played by Joe Gilgun, who he's amazing, and I've only seen, I think he's been in some British shows, including Misfits? Is that the name of it? It's about teenagers who get superpowers, and rather than fight crime, they just like fuck around. It's a good show.
I don't know. So that was my mediocre good watch. That was my medium watch. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Preacher's great. I highly recommend that. Lucifer.
Don't hop on my good watch bandwagon. We've
done that before.
You made your devil bed and now you lay in it, boy. I think that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Follow us on the internet, badwatchpod.com. I'm on the internet places at Evan W. Stoner. Andy is on Reddit. If you can find him, you can also find him and follow him.
If you find my handle, it will be creepy. Please don't do that.
Please be creepy. I would love that. I don't know what his handle is, so I can't give it away. I would love this very much if this worked out for me. But follow Andy on his way to work. He's Andy.
That guy's Evan.
And this is the worst watch. Bad watch.
I liked it.
It was good. I liked it.